We had to change some batteries, but we're back. We had to change some batteries, but I can't hear her. Just say something, Doris.
Hi.
Okay, now I can hear. We had to change some. Wait, let me start it again. We had to change some batteries, but we are back. I've said that 3 times. Anyway, Doris, this life experience of yours and what you've gone through is completely educating me about understanding what somebody with cancer goes through.
Yeah, it's important.
And it's educating somebody even who has cancer, the steps. You know, like I'm just like, oh, so it's not over yet now after you've gotten the chemo and they've what do you mean you're taking another round of chemo?
No.
So that's, we have not even got into radiology. Radiotherapy, sorry. Okay, so where we are right now is
I'm doing now my second
round
set.
And you've been getting into hospital, I mean, even to the point where you're in isolation because it's, I mean, that's dangerous.
Yeah, in fact, they actually did not expect me to live, the doctors. I found out later, years later. Of course, every time they come, they're amazing and wonderful, and they don't tell you the full story. They told me enough for me to feel a part of this journey of the decisions and everything. But they knew also, if they tell me that they actually don't expect me to live, they're just trying to see what they can. Maybe I would have given up. But I remember, it's very interesting. I remember one night, like my temperature spiked, and my sister and her husband had to take me to hospital. I remember sitting in the car and I'm shivering, like I'm cold. They brought a duvet, Nini put the highest heat, but apparently I was burning.
What?
They could feel, me I was feeling like this. So we went to hospital. They couldn't find a vein. They had to do it. They were saying, no, if we don't get, they'll do it on my, I think they actually did it on my leg. And I was hallucinating because they had to give me, I was in so much pain, they had to give me morphine. No, pethidine. That thing takes you high. You feel good. But there's a limit to how much they can give you. Doctors actually get addicted on it. So that time, that night, I remember I slept and I released myself. I felt myself just say, it's okay, let's go. I knew I was dying that day. Following day, my sister, who by the way doesn't remember this, she comes to the hospital. Mama, was it, sir? It was my sister. She comes to the hospital. She asked me, what happened last night? I asked her why. She said, I was woken up at night and told to pray for you and set up a whatever prayer chain. So she called everybody else and they started praying. So I told her, I wachiliad. That mind thing, I wachiliad. I said, it's okay now, it's enough. I know my boys will be okay. Because before I'd been hanging on also for them, but I knew they'd be okay. But then I woke up the next day. So now after that episode is when the doctor said, I think you've had enough. Enough chemo.
So they just gave you 5 rounds, not the 6.
Then they said, okay, now we wait for, you need, okay, that time the radiotherapy machines in Kenya were all discards. So in fact, the way my doctor described it was like, because what it is now, it's like a laser thingy that they choma, they burn they aim it at the place where the scar is, where they removed the cancer cells. Like if there's anything else around, we kill it. But those machines, the way they are, like they point at where they think and it could easily hit another place.
Aye.
So he was like, if you can, please go somewhere else and get your treatment. So the options were either go to India, go to South Africa, or go to the US. I was scared of going to India because I've never been there. and I didn't want to go alone because I had seen how, like, there are times I couldn't even move. I had to be, you know. So then I thought of the US. My sister is there, but it's so expensive. I had a friend and his wife who were living in South Africa. They told me, come. In fact, you come and stay with us. I would take care of you. You can do your radio here. So he hooked me up with a doctor, sent my test there. They talked with my doctor. Everything was agreed. And they're like, you need to go, because it has to be not more than 3 weeks since I finished the last chemo. So then I finished. Then I went to South Africa. So I was staying with them, and I'd go. It's a daily thing. You go every day, and it takes like 10 minutes. You go every day. They do the thing on you. You leave. Come back the next day, like that. But this thing, it kind of drains your energy completely. Like I'd go, and by the time I come back, I'm like, I need to sleep. And of course, the more they give you, the more. But it's killing anything else that might have been left. So I did that. I did 35 rounds. Yeah. Yeah. So now these guys were raising funds. That's what they were raising the money for me to be able to go. And then, blessing of blessings, they raised enough and were like, okay, this is how much the treatment will cost. Balance. They said, why don't you have your kids come and visit you, and then you come back together with them. So my sister and her husband and my kids and their kids came to see me. That was so awesome. Because I was there for like 7 weeks. I'd missed them. So they came, we spent a few days together, then now we all came back home. So then the agreement now after that, or the course now after that, is that because the cancer I had was hormone induced, you have to go on hormonal therapy for 5 years, taking a pill a day for 5 years. And then you're also going for tests. Like initially you go for tests every 3 months, then after a while you go every 6 months, then after a while you go every year.
But you're taking a pill every day?
You're taking a pill every day. Taking a pill every day.
So they'll check after that 3 months?
And every time we went, I was sure it has come back. Because I'm feeling, see what, where? I'd go, panic. It's fine. But I hated the whatever because of just the process of it. All the x-rays and then the needles. To this day, I don't like needles. And it's not the pain, it's just, I don't like them. There was too much of that. And there's also, every time you go, you're being checked, you have to undress and everything. And it's just, you have to be in a space where you're not thinking of yourself as you. Because it's traumatic. But I went and I finished all that. Then I did my 5 years. And by the time I was finishing the 5th year, they had now brought up this new thing where you have to do this thing for 10 years. But I had become anemic. In fact, at one point, my doctor thought maybe I got leukemia. So she did a bone marrow. She took some bone marrow from my sternum to go and test. And apparently, it's supposed to all come out, but she got like a dot. So she was sure I had leukemia, but they did all the tests, there was nothing. So here I am.
So, okay, first question, when they would do the test, they would say we're finding nothing.
Yeah.
When did you last believe you were healed? When did you first be like, hiya, I'm actually well?
When I finished my last radiotherapy session. Because I went in, they did the thing. Then now they also do a full battery of tests. Yes. So that as they're handing you back to your doctor, they're like, this is where you're at right now. And when we did the tests, I went back for them. They said, we see nothing. See nothing? You're clean. That's the first time I was like, I'm actually going to live, That was exciting. And I felt like there was part 1 of my life. Now we're in part 2. So I was like, okay, I was so sure I was done. So now that I'm in this new season, what do you want? Because you feel different, you are different, you're another person. And I don't know, I'm so used to looking at daily whatevers. So I'm trying to see, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. What do I do? Because I've been following this regimen. Now suddenly, I don't have, oh, today you're doing this, you have this, you know? So it was a blank slate.
So between the first chemo and the last radiotherapy, what period are we talking?
A year.
1 year. Okay.
So that's when I was like, okay, Lord, what do you want? Why am I still here? Tell me.
You're a new person.
It's like you've just been born, but you have been born adult, you know? So you didn't have time to go through school and figure out your life. It's like, bam, you're here. So now, what are we doing?
Why am I still? I'd love that question.
Yeah.
Why am I still here?
I was ready to go home, but I'm still here, so there has to be a reason. And that's when I started thinking, they said, I can't have gone through all that just to continue with the path I was on. There's something. There has to be something, so tell me. And I didn't want to create something for myself. I wanted him to tell me, because he's the one who decided.
Yeah, he's been talking to you anyway.
Yeah, he's been talking to me. So we're pals now.
And what year is this now?
This is in 2006. 2006, August.
Okay.
So I came back and I felt, okay, first thing, just chill. So I went back to Baptist. I was like, let me just sit in the pew, and immediately guys saw me, when are you coming back? Oh, you know the choir? Oh, you know. I was like, hey, there's no way I'll be able to do that here. So then I moved to chapel. And there, I wasn't known by too many people, and there were no obligations. So I just go to church and I go home. Go to church, go home. Pastor Gowi was there at the time. And they told me, I've seen you, but I know where you're at, so it's okay. When you're ready to serve, tell me. But we'll just let you be.
That's powerful.
That was amazing for me.
Gowi, good job.
I really appreciated that.
So, and of course, you're not even working.
I'm working.
You're still working?
Yeah.
Hey.
I took sick leave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I took sick leave and went back to work. I can't remember exactly when I went back, but I went back to work.
So what happens now? This 2006.
So,
you're still with your sister?
I'm still living with my sister. See, now that story has been shelved until further notice. Because they're like, you need to now recuperate. Because you can't yet take care of the kids on your own. So you need to become strong, and then now you can decide what you want to do. So they weren't rushing me to do anything. So I stayed with them, and then I was at chapel. Then they started doing things with the choir. They're trying to form a choir. Was it that year or the following year? I can't quite remember. They asked me, do you think you might be ready to come and direct the choir? Very easy, something Christmas. I think the second year is when I agreed, 2008. So we did like a small thing, you know. It was nice.
A Christmas kathingi.
A Christmas kathingi. Then my choir now from Baptist started saying, no, so you're here, you're alive. You need to find a way to testify of what you have done. And initially I was like, you know, just, but then I started thinking, there's during my sessions with God, sometimes he'd speak to me through scripture, sometimes he'd speak to me through song. So there are a number of songs that really, like, they really spoke to me during this time. And I thought, perhaps if I get, like my sisters and I, we just have like a small listening party and we share these songs, hoping that they'll encourage somebody. I'm also thinking about the broken marriage. Maybe it will also uplift someone. So I thought, okay, let me put the songs together. I think they ended up being about 12 or so. Put the songs together, and then I'll invite people, a few people, to this thing, and I'll just share. Then I'll have said, thank you, God. Then now I can now figure out, okay, so where are we going from here? So, as word started, oh, I'm planning to do this thing. Would you like to come? Yeah, I want to be in that choir. Then word started spreading. Before I knew it, there were like 100 people wanting to be part of this thing. Not to attend.
Yes, to be part.
To be part of it. So I'm like, so how do we do a listening party with 20 people listening to 100 people? So I thought, okay, how about church? Church has always been very welcoming and accepting and all that. So I went to Baptist and I said, would you allow us to come and just sing? And they said, fine. See, most of the people there were from that choir anyway. And then we thought, how about we do in different places? So I think it was Kanji who spoke to Pastor M and asked whether we can do the same thing at Mavuno. And then since I had started going to chapel, I also asked them. And they very graciously agreed. Mavuno said, do it on the Saturday before Sunday. Baptist and chapel said, take the service. Just give us like 15 minutes to preach and take offertory, but you can have the rest of the service. Morning service.
Wow, wow, wow.
So the first place we did was Mavuno. And what I thought, now, the whole thing now I started like, okay, I went through this. What would I have wanted done for me differently? Or maybe it hadn't even been done. What would I have wanted done? And I was like,